But that's the thing. Like, we don't hear about that. You don't hear about that in the news. Not like, oh, 3-year fixed rates are down 30 basis points. No, nobody's announcing that. Nobody's saying that. You could look up every mortgage headline today. I'm sure it's, sales are down. Sales expectations are down, as you said, Greg. Rates are up. Sky's falling. So you're never going to find positive reinforcement.
I know.
You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Hey,
hello.
What's up?
We're back. We're back. It's two of us. Just the two of us.
You and I.
Me and Greg Campbell. It's me, Paul Stevenson, host of the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast, mortgage agent, level 2. Check me out, PaulStevenson.ca. Greg Campbell, realtor, the agency Ottawa, the agency. And we're back mid-October. We're buzzing. Live show went well last week. Had a lot of people reaching out afterwards, asking questions. Asking
more questions that they didn't.
More questions.
More questions.
Come to the show.
They were shy. They were shy on the show, or they saw the show and then called you, I guess.
Yeah, and I think we've realized that we have a few bot commenters as well. We have someone who chimes in often, not to name names, but we're starting to think they might just read headlines and throw disparaging comments in the comment section.
Yeah, we all know who that is.
Welcome. We've invited them to the show. They have not responded, but the door is open. The door, the window, the sunroof, everything's open, waiting.
The sunroof.
Yeah. How was your weekend, Greg? You were at the pumpkin patch.
I was, and I was just getting over a sinus infection, so that was a relief.
Fun.
Being outdoors at the pumpkin patch. We did a little give back for clients and some families, some local families and people that just showed up. So we had some music, we had face painting, and we were giving away $5 coupons for anyone that wanted a pumpkin. Seems like my kids are sneaking around the back here. What's going on? Get out of here. I can't talk to you right now. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we donated our time, got some pumpkins, got face painting, and the Orleans Fruit Farm, they want us back next year for sure, or for anything that we want to do. Yeah.
That's off of Montreal Road, right? Saint Joseph?
It's on Saint Joseph, yeah. In between.
It's the only street name I say with French. It's not Saint Joseph, it's Saint Joseph.
Saint Joseph Boulevard. It's in between Orleans and Beacon Hill, basically.
Yeah, that was our go-to. That was our go-to Apple spot. Everywhere I drove this weekend, if you had a corn maze or a wagon ride, I even saw pony rides out in Manotick driving.
That's cool.
Is it Sholdis? One of the I shouldn't be giving credit to someone who's not there. I think it's Sholdis out in Manotick. They had a pumpkin patch and they had a little pony ride. Lines up for the ponies, of course. You're gonna sell it. You bring a pony, you're selling it.
You bring a pony, and it's crazy. Like the face painter, we were on for like a little while. It was okay, and then the face painter showed up, and it just seemed like all of a sudden it was packed. Suddenly there was like a massive line. She stayed an extra hour, which was very cool.
That's great.
Yeah. So the kids loved it. So yeah, that was my weekend. Yesterday I did an open house.
Yeah,
got to tell you, it was quiet. And after I did the open house, we actually had, I'll be transparent here just so everybody knows the market. There was no one came to the open house. A home inspector came through just to check it out, give me some business cards. And he said, this seems like very accurately priced, an amazing home. I'm with you on this one. So that was nice to hear. But then what I did after the open house, I was being very proactive, and I went on one of the private realtor groups on Facebook, and I posted up saying, how was everybody's open house today? And what was your price point? And immediately, I'm still getting emails. I think it's like it's the livest comment on our private YouTube or our private Facebook channel right now that has over 2,000 people in the group. So it was really interesting to see that many were like little to no one through the open house. So we were trying to figure out, there was some that were busier than others, but the majority of them were like, maybe 2, 3, 4 groups through or none. And we were all just trying to figure out, like, is that because of the impending rate hike coming? Everyone's just putting on the brakes, doom and gloom in the media. We're getting closer to, getting closer to Christmas. end of year. Everybody's watching their money. So it was very interesting to see. And that's what's up. So if you are shopping for a home, it's 100% a good time to shop. If you are selling, you need to be competitive if you want to beat the other properties that are similar to yours in the market, in any neighborhood. Based on that comment, let's get into that article that I have from the Canadian Real Estate Association cuts forecast for home sales and prices this year. So to summarize, and this can kind of relate to what I was saying, the Canadian Real Estate Association has reduced its 2023 home sales forecast by nearly 10%, with a 3.3% drop in average home prices, mainly due to a weakness in Ontario and BC, obviously. Higher mortgage rates have put pressure on demand, but there's an expectation of potential market improvement in 2024. So, we have to be clear, as always, even in international news, when they're talking about Canada, it's generally the GTA and Vancouver markets. Despite recent fluctuations, the association's forecast hinges on the Bank of Canada's interest rate decisions in the coming months. So there you have it. In September, the home price index in Canada decreased by 0.3%, driven mainly by trends in Ontario. However, it's uncertain if this decline is an outlier or a broader trend due to interest rates. The dip in Toronto's housing prices has created opportunities for buyers, with some houses now available below $1 million. So in the full article here, there is a buyer looking at condos just under $1 million. And then suddenly, basically overnight, she realized that she could buy a single family home for under $1 million in a certain neighborhood. So she did that instead.
How many people, Greg, now, like, you've been shopping, I know myself too, we have some joint clients that have been shopping for, upwards of 12 months, even in some cases. Some are less, some are more. But let's say this, anyone that's kind of getting to that 8 to 12 months, like, how have you seen their target property shift in the last 12 months? Like, are people doing that? Are people looking at, or is it same homes, just less expensive?
It shifted. Like, are people it shifted more previously. Right now, it's kind of the same thing. I know what you're saying. Like, it shifted a lot at the end of last year, beginning of this year. And now it's just kind of the same thing, because prices haven't changed as drastically as before. Like, they went back up a bit. And now it's just kind of sitting. It's literally a stalemate. Like, that's the only word I can use. And the problem is that a lot of the sellers actually need to sell because they're closing on something else soon. But they're in a position where if they drop too much, they're not going to get the money they need out of their home to get into the new property. I mean, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
So, but it's really interesting to me how there's sellers holding on to the last minute in hopes that something's going to happen. But the way that I see it, I mean, after October 25th, we'll have a better idea. If the rate doesn't go up, I think everyone's going to be a little bit more explosive on making decisions on purchases, and there'll be way more activity, because right now it's still moving, but it's not as aggressive as it was at all. And based on that comment, let me bring that into the next hot topic that we were talking about, Paul. The house sells in 4 days at 925 in Canada.
Yeah. So Dave kind of shared this with us the other day, and you said that you wanted to talk about in the show. So I guess there was a property. Give us maybe for anyone who hasn't seen the article, give us kind of the high level synopsis and then break it down from your professional perspective.
So let me read this. Let me summarize this for you. A 15-year-old house in Canada Lakes was priced below $1 million due to its dated interior, but was competitive in the market compared to similar properties. Now, again, based on that, I will tell you it was great value for the home. It did need what I would say like new kitchen, bathrooms, carpet upstairs needed to go. The property features also an unfinished basement, offering flexibility for customization. Despite initial plans to set a lower price, market conditions led to a slightly higher listing, and the house had a contemporary layout with an enclosed office and separate entertaining areas. So like definitely it's a bigger home. It has a great floor plan. That's not part of it. So that's basically what was up with that. And it goes to what I was saying. If you're priced right, you're going to sell no matter what. And you can't fight that. So if you're sitting on the market, it means that you're not priced for the current buyer's positions. No one wants to spend the money. And a lot of people won't even offer on your property because, which is foolish to me, because if I'm working with a buyer, I'll offer whatever we think we want to try, because usually a negotiation will happen and chances are you're going to get it done, especially if there hasn't been any other offers on the property. But I mean, this house is like, it needs work. Will it be worth, if the buyer's staying there for, 5 to 10 years and they put in 150,000, will it be worth it then? Sure. Most likely. Or at least, in and around that range because of the neighborhood. I imagine that the buyer is either someone moving to Ottawa that is working in the tech sector in Canada, or working at a home, has some friends in the neighborhood, because Canada Lakes is it's a pretty distinctive neighborhood, and a lot of people that buy there for a reason. They need to be in Canada Lakes, and they like the value holds well for the properties, and it's a great community.
It seems most of my clients currently that are shopping, there's like some of the negotiations are lasting days, like 3-4 days. Like there seems to be kind of that separation right now, as you said. Buyers are wanting to pay, like they're seeing the home sitting for sometimes 30, 45, 60 days, and they want to get a deal, right? Like the buyers want to drive that price down, sellers want to obviously keep it at their list price. But as you said, if it's priced too high, it's going to sit for a while. And we're seeing that a lot now in Ottawa, where people priced it maybe for the April, May market. And we're just coming kind of back to that price point now. So are you seeing, like, I guess what I'm saying is I'm seeing my buyers being like, yeah, we're 10,000 away, we're 15,000 away. Like they're, we're in communication every day, but they're not coming to, like, usually it's 24 hours, you go back and forth a couple times, you come to an agreement. It seems like, from my perspective at least, that my clients are negotiating for longer. Like it seems like more like 2, 3, 4 days back and forth, 5,000, 4,000, this included, that not included. So it seems like, as we said, being seemingly a buyer's market, that there's more wiggle room. Like buyers are really they're not in a rush. Sellers seemingly not in a rush. Like, are you seeing that too? Like, does it seem like everyone is just kind of waiting?
I'm seeing
People
a lot of that.
Disconnected, maybe?
I'm seeing a lot of that. I think it's, in some circumstances, it can become foolish. And, one of the parties isn't really understanding what's happening. But it's nice to see in a way, like even, when I'm having conversations with agents or we're negotiating, it's like, it's a real negotiation.
Yes.
We're working to get the best deal possible for both of our clients. And, like, and
everyone's in the right.
Everyone's in the right. And there's little things coming up where, you're saying like, well, no, we want this. And then we're like, well, no, we want this, or we want this clause reworded this way. And it's like, come on, man, back and forth, you get it done in the end most of the time. But like, you're right. And if you got to think about it, if you got a house listed for $1 million and you're fighting for $10,000 on it, that $10,000 probably isn't coming back on the next offer.
No, and let's do that. Let's say $10,000 over 25 years is about $60 a month.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
Today's rates.
So then when
there's been times, I'd say on my last 2 properties, both were multiple offers. I purposely went between 5 and 10,000 over what I thought I should pay, knowing that I'm going to pay that extra $56 bucks, $50 to $60 a month to secure the property. Like, I don't want to compete with anyone. So let's go way over what we think they're going to offer, just to make sure that, like, I'm willing to pay the extra $50 bucks, $60 a month. At that time, it was probably less, like $30 a month at that time. But just ensure that the offer is the most competitive. And like you said, when people are literally willing to walk away for that $60 a month, I understand it's not like, that's not a small amount of money. But when you're talking about, like you said, $1 million home, it is a small amount of money. You're talking $60 a month when you're buying a 7-figure property. Like, get in there.
I want to do a little sidebar here. You know how bucks, saying bucks. You know how we all say bucks.
Bucks, yeah.
Do you know what that is?
I do.
I know what it is. Do you know what it is?
Do you want me to say it, or do you want to say it?
Yeah, you go ahead. I just think it's cool for the listeners, like who may not know that, or if they're not from Canada.
Yeah, in Canada, that a buck skin used to be the equivalent of $1. So people used to trade buckskins for $1.
Correct.
And that's why they called it a buck.
I think that's so awesome.
Yeah.
and we still do it hundreds of years later.
I need $100.
$100.
That'd be a lot of hunting.
Imagine. I want to actually having that. Jeez.
Yeah.
You
touched on rates before, and it is really important. So we do have an announcement. October 25th is the announcement. That's going to be strictly for variable rates, which I know we've harped on this. Obviously, I know you know this, Greg, but for people listening, don't want to flog a dead horse, but the Bank of Canada announcements have little to no, well, technically should have no impact on fixed rates. So fixed rates directly connected to the bonds, variable rates have an impact by the Bank of Canada. So this announcement is the one that gets all the headlines. But to share some good news, the fixed rates over the last 5 days since our last episode have actually come down. So, we were talking about bond rates were going up. They're still kind of stagnate. Like they're still kind of in the low fours, 4.25, I think it was this morning when I looked. They were as high as 4.3 at one point, 4.39, something like that. But they are kind of on a downslope. And we have seen some lenders actually drop their 5-year kind of insured rate. So that would be less than 20% down payment. The 3-year and 4-year fixed rates also dropped last week. The 3-year especially, one lender dropped by almost 30 basis points. So it's very weird, like kind of trying to analyze rates. Like honestly, it's impossible. It's a fool's game. But from my experience, I'll be a fool. I'll be a fool for 5 seconds,
Be a fool for me.
I would say, with the way things are, anytime we see lenders start dropping rates like this, usually every other lender kind of follows suit, or at least half of them will it's kind of a mild race to the bottom, the market's picking up slightly. Well, we're going to drop our rates a bit just so we can, secure that share of the market. So it'll be interesting to see now with like you said, if Bank Canada holds rates, I think right now, as of today, being October 16th, 17th when this comes out, I do think they're going to hold rates. But again, like if they increase rates, no one's going to be surprised. Like
what is the actual, what's the 5-year fixed rate today? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So if again, I'll preface this, obviously, as everyone knows, if you're looking to secure a rate or get pre-approved, certainly contact me, because rates are different for every individual person based on your your income, your down payments. There's a lot of variables here. If you're self-employed, there's a lot of caveats. But right now, like with less than 20%, you can get fixed rates around kind of 5.79, 5.84. That's kind of the you can get lower, but they're going to be super restrictive. There's a lot of, again, asterisks, but I'd say 5.8, 5.9 is realistic. Variable rates are probably around prime minus 1%. So somewhere in, 6.2% right now, and 3-year fixed are just over 6%. So like 6.04 right now is a really good 3-year. So yeah, I mean, it's insane. Like I remember people when it was 5.19 were complaining, like, well, what about 4.79? It's like, well, that was 3 months ago, and now 5.19 was 3 months ago. Now we're at 5.79, but again, even a week ago, that was 5.84, 5.89. So like, I'll take a win. I'll take a small win, even if it's 5 basis points, But that's the thing. Like, we don't hear about that. You don't hear about that in the news now. Like, 3-year fixed rates are down 30 basis points. No, nobody's announcing that. Nobody's saying that. You could look at every mortgage headline today. I'm sure it's, sales are down. Sales expectations are down, as you said, Greg. Rates are up. Sky's falling. So you're never going to find positive reinforced.
I know. It's always like, just read the news and then live like that.
Yeah. Get ready for 9% rates.
Read the news. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's great. Speaking of news, I have a news for some rental news that I think is interesting. And I'm hoping that it is for all of Ontario. Excuse me. It's for all of Ontario. I thought it might have just been the GTA. So this is an Ontario rental registry created by nonprofit Vivre en Ville. It's a crowdsourced platform for tenants to input rent prices, bill charges, and unit details to promote transparency in Ontario's rental market amidst soaring prices. The rental registry, launched in Ontario, aims to increase housing market transparency and preserve affordability by sharing rent information publicly. It has already registered about 3,000 Ontarian rents and could be implemented nationwide with government support. I think that's pretty cool because it lets you know what's going on around, and it'll help balance things out, I imagine.
But do you think so? For instance, wow, I can't speak today.
For instances,
for instance, I could go onto my street and just see who's renting and what they're paying.
That's
open registry.
That's the gist of this. Yeah, the rental registry. I don't see a link to anything yet. Oh wait, the website says, yeah, here, let's do this. Rentalregistry.ca. Wow. Yeah, this is real. Everybody go check this out if you're a renter and check it out. It says you can add your rent. So I could go in and add rent information, add my, God, I should be able to screen share. We should get into that habit, eh? Screen sharing on TowRep. You know what? Maybe I'll start doing little things like this, little gifts, gifts.
This is interesting. My rent.
Yeah, so everybody should go check that out if you're renting. I'll go into it more, but I wanted to give you guys the scoop on that. I just found it today. Tenants who have moved in the last year in Ontario have seen their rent go up on average 34%.
Wow.
That's insane. Tenants who have moved in the last 1 to 3 years have seen their rent go up on average 29%. 18 to 34-year-olds are paying on average roughly $245 more per month than 55-plus-year-olds for rent. Oh, that's interesting. So if you're younger, you're getting charged more than 55-year-olds. I don't understand that exactly. Where does that data come from? But
I was talking to a friend yesterday, and they were saying their parents are currently renting for $1,700 a month, and they just they've thought about buying, but to buy now, their payment's going to go up to $4,000 a month.
So I guess maybe they've been stuck in. I mean, maybe they've been in the same place renting for a while.
Yeah, no, that's it.
So
they've been there for 7-8 years.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I know of that, where you get a good landlord who's just like, we're okay. Yeah. Don't worry about the rent increasing. We want you in the house. We know you take care of it. That's of huge value to anybody.
Yeah, it's it. I mean, if you kick those tenants out, which you can't do obviously, but let's say they leave and you're charging that, let's just say $2,000 a month. Like if that property stays vacant for 3 months, that's $6,000. If you're charging an extra $300 a month forever, it's going to take a while to get you that $6,000 back that, just carrying that vacant property. So yeah, I think having good tenants is hard enough in the first place. So if you have good tenants that are actually paying, it's probably better to take that guaranteed rental income.
I've got
you hear some of those nightmares, people not being paid for 6 months, and tenant board is siding with the tenant, and
there's a term for those kind of tenants. What is it like? I can't remember. I was watching something about it the other day. I have something to say about professional tenants. Professional tenants. I believe that's what it was. I have a comment that people will find intriguing. I think we had a rental in Ottawa. It was rented at $3,400 a month. We rented it overnight, basically. Luca had it set up, rented it out. Landlord very happy, tenants very happy. 2 months in, we get a call. So we bought a house. We're going to move out in 3 weeks.
The tenants are saying this?
The tenants are saying that. So we're like, okay, so you understand that you're breaching the contract, and now we have to put the house back on the market. So, it made them guarantee that they're going to give at least 1 month's rent back for sure. And then any additional months where the property isn't rented at the same price, or the balance in the difference in price. So anyways, we put it back on the market, not renting.
Really?
So they just bought a new home. They broke the lease, and they're probably, my guess is at the end of this, they're probably going to be on the hook for about 10 grand. So if you are a tenant renting a property and want to move, or don't, I understand life happens. So like they could have moved in. It was just like, oh shit, this is a great opportunity. We're going to jump on this. But without having a proper conversation with the landlord going into that situation, or letting them, or, making a move that quickly, you really need to know where you sit, because just walking away from that can lead you into a position like these guys, where they're going to be on the hook for quite a bit. And they were locked into that lease, and they breached. So, and that's a $3,500 a month payment.
Yeah, that's
right. And again, in a market like this, where you're already paying, like they just bought a house, so their mortgage payment, I'm sure, is aggressive.
Yeah.
Now they got a big bill. I'm surprised that we haven't been able to rent it, to be honest. It's a beautiful home, but hey, that's just something to learn.
An interesting story, Greg. There's lots of wild things that happen in the real estate industry.
Oh, speaking of wild, that's going to be the new show, right?
Yeah.
Dang. I love it.
Can you speak about it? Should we deliver it on air?
Yeah. So I'm going to launch a new show called The Deal. And it's just in the, what's the word I'm looking for? Prototype. What's the
developmental stages?
Developmental stages. It's moving forward. We're beta. Yeah, it's in the beta stages. We're going to be reaching out to realtors and mortgage professionals, probably even lawyers too. That actually, I don't know if lawyers could do that. Someone might.
As long as they don't give their name, that would.
Yeah, I know, no names.
Lawyers
I guess
probably have
just
the best
story.
Stories.
Well, that's why I wanted to include them. So. And anyways, the premise is that a realtor, broker, or lawyer shares a crazy story, like on their phone or camera, whatever, from their dealings. So it could be, just an insane story, a really great story, a really bad story. And then what we're going to do is compile them all. And I'm going to post up shorts every day on the channel. And at the end of the month, we'll review the best ones, either on live stream or in an episode. Hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Even just
Paul's probably going to send me the
hilarious.
first video. Paul's going to send me the first video.
Yeah, I got years worth of stories. I'll have to find the best one, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun because the people I mentioned it to already, they're like, "Oh, bro, that's sick. I got so many ideas. I got so many stories." Yeah, those bros. Getting a call from Hong Kong right now. I'll just hang up on that one.
Oh. I love it. My phone now tells me when it's likely spam, which is the best thing that's ever happened.
Oh, yeah. Likely spam. That's a nice feature to have. Block.
Should we slide into some mood boost, Greg?
I think so. You know what? That was pretty informative episode, I feel.
I think so. I feel like I didn't bring much to the table, but you carried it. You had some really good info today, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you
You're welcome
for sharing your knowledge, your expertise. The Agency Auto.
Okay,
I got 3 today. Number 1, big news out of the business sector. Did you hear that FedEx and UPS were merging? They're going to be called FedUps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Interesting story. This weekend, I walked into a pub with my wife, and the bartender asked, "Would you like a beer for your wife?" I said, "That sounds like a fair swap." And for those of you that don't know, my son's 4th birthday was today. When he came to see me, I didn't recognize him at first. I'd never seen him before.
Oh, yes.
Tricked you.
I like that. That pretty clever today. Pretty clever. The before one, especially.
Yeah. Never seen him before.
Never seen him before. No. Saw him before now. Today.
Hey.
Toe rep.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Next week, I think we're going to have one of our favorite guests back, Mr. Lou Loff. I think it's next week. We're going to try to get him on.
That's good.
He reached out recently. He's got some updates as to, we were talking about, what the government could do to help with this housing issue.
Yeah, and he can probably give us some updates on Orleans specifically, down by Place, and with the new development going in by the old, by the YMCA, or the Altitude Gym, or whatever it is now.
Yeah, last week we were talking to him. I think we were talking about the 15-minute city and communities, that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to get his take on that. So we think we're going to have Matt on next week. And we have a few other guests coming on in the coming weeks. So lots of things happening. Market's hot. Market's hot. For us, at least. It's hot in the sense that it's all we think about. It's front of mind. If it's not hot, it's front of mind.
It's keeping me in the hot seat.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Keeps us hot at night while we don't sleep.
But guys, seriously, remember that we do this professionally, and we've been doing it for years. So if you have any questions about your neighborhood, your property, or how we can help you, please just reach out. Our emails and phone numbers are in the notes after each episode. They're always there, and we would love to talk to you, to speak with you.
Greg will house you. He'll house you. I'll finance you.
I'll house you.
We're good to go. Yeah, no, but if you have questions about rates, if you have an upcoming renewal, anything mortgage related, happy to chat all the time. David as well. And just reach out. But new episodes are out every Tuesday, 10 a.m. on YouTube, on your streaming platforms. We'll see you next week. Greg, have a fantastic day.
You too, Paul.
All right.
Fantastic. Have a fantasy day.
Have a fantasy day.
Fantasy day. Paradise fantasy.
Bye, everyone.
Late.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.